Literacy is often not taught or not taught often enough after elementary school. This is a problem as it causes struggling students to fall behind and doesn't encourage engagement with complex texts, thus stunting reading growth. In this presentation, we will be talking about how teachers can develop and encourage literacy through differentiated instruction to support diverse learners. We will explain the importance of using differentiated instruction to promote adolescent literacy by specifically addressing elements of DI, student interest and readiness. Using differentiated instruction in the process of selecting texts by allowing students to use texts relevant to their readiness and interests provides all students with the means to engage with literature and assists in the development of adolescent literacy in an English language arts classroom. It can be especially useful for culturally and linguistically diverse learners by providing them with texts that are interesting and are accessible to them in terms of readiness.
Adolescent literacy is the encouragement of lifelong reading and learning in adolescence. It includes helping students read more complex texts and encouraging the development of greater reading skills. The development of adolescent literacy requires teachers to be aware of student readiness and to act as supporters to encourage reading while assessing the needs of all students. Differentiated instruction requires teachers to consider their students when creating lessons and to provide students with options based on learner profile, student interest, or student readiness. For this presentation, we will focus on the aspects of student interest and readiness and how those can be used to support the needs of all learners, including culturally and linguistically diverse learners. In an English language arts classroom, this could include giving an English language learner an annotated copy of Romeo and Juliet and a study guide in their preferred language. DI is something you may want to implement after you've gotten to know your students, as you need to be aware of their interests and readiness. One goal of adolescent literacy is to increase engagement and meaningful learning.
Teaching for adolescent literacy encourages lifelong literacy by providing students with options based on their interests and their readiness. This prevents students from being stuck with a text that is too hard or that they find boring. Choice is a major factor in motivating adolescents to learn and is a major component of differentiated instruction in all disciplines. Teaching for adolescent literacy also helps students understand their reading style and their textual preferences. Developmentally, adolescents are beginning to form independent identities. Literacy is a critical link for students to begin to understand their emerging independence in relation to the world around them. Teaching for adolescent literacy through differentiated instruction is also beneficial for ELL students, as it provides them with options regarding both the type and difficulty of text. Example, providing ELL students with an audiobook and an annotated text. Through decisions like this, a teacher can use differentiated instruction to incorporate strategies for adolescent literacy and use culturally responsive teaching strategies as well. Choice is beneficial for all students present in the classroom, but being especially thoughtful in using DI can help connect with diverse learners. For example, a student from India may not feel comfortable reading a Western text, which will be full of Western ideologies that they may not have encountered before. It would be beneficial if the student could read a short story such as Squatter by Rohinton Mystery or such as Tamrid Men by Anita Rue Badami, as they are both written by Indian-Canadian authors.
An example for how differentiated instruction could be used in a classroom could be in an English 20-1 classroom and a study of Macbeth. Although this play is important, there are a few problems with it. The themes and elements of the text are reflective of Elizabethan society, and adolescents may find this difficult to relate to. It is also reflective of Western ideologies, which can be harder for some students to relate to. It is typically studied in one or two types of text. Students generally read the script or watch a movie. This is problematic as it really only applies to auditory, linguistic, and visual learners and does not incorporate methods of diverse teaching. The language is written in English, but it is an Elizabethan dialect, which is hard for ELL students to understand. They may have trouble comprehending it. Although they are required to study it, the typical script movie classroom does not promote adolescent literacy. In fact, it will do the opposite, turning students away from reading and literature. In the study of Macbeth, there are lots of options to differentiate instruction. Students could choose the delivery mode of Macbeth, thus catering to student readiness and interest. Options include ebooks, animated text, graphic novels, movies, manga, audiobooks, or text that displays modern language besides Shakespeare's text. It would be manageable to accommodate students in the delivery form they feel comfortable with. This provides benefits for ELL students as well as all other students by providing scaffolding and catering to students who have different learning styles. Additionally, teachers can make the Shakespearean unit more flexible, allowing students to choose from their wide array of text. This is an example of how DI can function even with a code restraint, and it lets students have a say in the text.
Adolescent literacy is key in creating lifelong readers and learning, as well as encouraging students to read more complex texts. Student interest is crucial because if they are not interested, they will not be engaged or feel their learning is meaningful. Student readiness is also imperative, as a text that is too easy could cause a student to be bored with or may make a student too frustrated if it's too hard. We are having a call to action. We invite teachers to try to implement DI in their classrooms. May find it helpful to change one aspect, such as the way students can complete an assignment, and build upon that. DI does not take lots of extra time, but the effect on the classroom is significant. Overall, DI makes the classroom more student-centered, student-friendly, and more inclusive.